Playing time is not required. This is the End of the Bench podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Hey, what's happening? Happy Tuesday. Good morning and welcome on to the End of the Bench on 100.7 The Score, 107thescore.com, and the 100.7 The Score mobile app, brought to you by Happy State Bank. Alongside the one and only Jeffrey Haxton, I'm Chois. Woodman, Lucas White, back behind the glass, taking care of us as usual. You two can hit us up. Your thoughts, your comments, your questions, your residual reaction from the football weekend, your immediate reaction from what you saw last night on the hardwood. Texas Tech takes out Louisiana Tech. Wasn't an easy one, though. I've got plenty of that to get into. We've got our Tiers of 12.
Tiers of 12.
Okay. Sorry.
I didn't know you were like that.
That's all.
Tiers of 12. There you go.
It's the best imaging we have right now.
Yeah.
Tiers of 12 coming up a little bit later. Want to get Hax's reaction, of course, to last night's basketball game and what we saw there. Plenty of other stuff to get to in the sports world, including a basketball game in the Big 12 that didn't go well for a...
Went really well for us.
Yeah, I'm okay with the result. One color purple beating the other color purple. But we'll get to all of that. How you doing, Hax, on a Tuesday?
Doing great. I'm watching their little dance party they had afterwards. They being the Demons, who the Red Raiders handled easily in the opener. That's an interesting Demon team because they have the player with one arm, and then they have the guy that's 7'3". It's maybe the biggest man I've ever seen on a basketball court. So they go down and knock off TCU. They didn't have Mike Miles, and Horned Frogs on the struggle bus early, but that, it's a good sign because you open up with Northwestern State, they go and beat TCU, ranked 15th. That's the first ranked win for Northwestern State since 2006. You're looking for teams that are going to help build your resume as the year goes along. Texas Southern goes and beats Arizona State. Mm-hmm. They're next going to play Oral Roberts. Houston annihilated Oral Roberts last night. But you're looking for these teams to be successful and a part of their championship chases in their respective conferences. And I really think you've got two of the three that will be. I don't think Northwestern State will do much, but they did last night. Texas Southern should win the SWAC, and Louisiana Tech will have a great chance to win Conference USA. So that's just something that you're hoping for. When Tubby's last year, looking back on that schedule that they had, and we've talked about it before, it was the perfect construct of a non-conference schedule, and it really helped you get an at-large bid when March Madness came around.
I think, no doubt about that. I think this league is still going to be ridiculous, still going to be crazy, but there may be some teams that are a little overhyped in this league. I'm not wanting to say that completely because TCU's without Ball and Miles last night, so that makes a big difference. But still, if Texas Tech was missing its two best players, they should have been able to beat Northwestern State, right? If you're missing two of your best players, that team,
without question,
you should still be able to beat Northwestern State. Now, last night, if you're missing your two best players, you're not winning that game against Louisiana Tech. They
looked the part coming out of the
first reaction. That's a good basketball team you played last night. And I'm not going to sit here and make excuses because there were good and bad things we saw from Texas Tech, but
you don't need to make excuses for a win that should have been double digits.
No.
I mean, I know Norrance kind of took them apart a little bit on, how it looked, and I'm really not interested in how it looked. You were up for the most part double figures in a game that you were favored by 12, and the great part about it is you won being able to breathe, not one of those can't breathe wins, and you got exposed in so many ways.
I thought last night is a great thing for this basketball team. No, I mean, because especially before you go to Maui, this is a really good thing for your team to experience that of course, being on the winning side of that, but going up against a good basketball team and one that's going to expose you a little bit is a good thing. Better than going and beating another Northwestern State or Texas Southern by 24 points. That is much better for you before you head to Maui and play good and real good competition.
Where Texas Tech got exposed yesterday was the over-the-top game. Try to contain the dribbler, drawing defenders forward and just kind of tossing it over the top for alley-oop dunks. So they had this 6'7" guy. His last name was Hunter, and he was in double figures when he didn't do anything in the first game. But where he was getting, a lot of his success was on alley-oop passes. And you're thinking, okay, this is a 6'7" Conference USA player.
Yep.
What's that going to look like when you have the real athletes, the real jumpers, the real NBA future players? And the answer right now would be disaster. So they've got that to try and patch up, and I know they'll work on that. But it was, getting exposed and still having almost a double-digit win is a good thing, I think.
I completely agree. So this team last night, we'll break it down. The one thing I'm surprised at, Hax, and maybe I shouldn't be because Tech fans are as crazy as they come. That comes with good and that comes with bad. But I'm surprised at some of the up-in-arms reaction that I saw on the social media and elsewhere last night. It's like, really? I mean, it's not time to panic. It's not. That Louisiana Tech basketball team, now there is a ton of season to play. I would guess you're going to see that team in the tournament. There's a good chance that they're going to win or finish high in the Conference USA just purely because of the tenacity of the defense. That's what I was probably most surprised at, is that defense that Talvin Hester looked that he had there looked like they've been playing it for 5 years there. I mean, it looked like it was a system thing that you've had forever.
And it also looked exactly like yours.
Oh, it was a mirror. It was a mirror that you
I was like, okay, go
night.
Baseline, and here comes the help, and you can't
Charges
go baseline.
taken, and yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And Mark Adams having to teach the things that Talvin Hester's having to teach on the other side. Jump stop. Don't run through
One
guys.
great thing that Coach Adams and company had dialed up was this is a little X and O talk that's not exactly thrilling, but if you saw our guys, they knew they were going to get that help. So when you drive baseline against a side defense, the defender wants you to go there because they know they have baseline help.
Yep.
And then they know the baseline turns into another defender. So you are in a spot on the baseline, whereas I think throughout for a huge portion of my life, drive baseline, drive baseline, drive baseline. Now when you do that, you're basically triple teamed. So when our guys dribbled to that point and the help came, I saw it probably 15 times. They jump stop and threw it to the opposite wing, and it was wide open. So that was fun to watch because it worked for a couple threes.
What's funny is we played this defense in high school. When I played high school basketball, my coach got it directly from Bob Knight. It's the help baseline defense, all of that. But if you don't have every piece working, like my high school team, if not everybody's completely bought in, it gets exposed, and it's a terrible defense. It's terrible. But when it is a well-oiled machine like Mark Adams has turned it into, it's a thing of beauty.
Davion Harmon showed so much leadership in his third game.
This team will
I'm really
ride
excited
with
about Davion,
Harmon.
and I have been for a long time.
Yeah, you have, and we got to see it on display last night. Talk more about that. Got some headlines coming your way next on 100.7 The Score.
Playing time is not required. This is the End of the Bench podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Glad to be part of your Tuesday. It's the End of the Bench on 100.7 The Score and the 100.7 The Score mobile app. Keep getting your thoughts, your comments, your questions in on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. 2 people immediately after you asked the forgiveness thing. Hax, can you iron it out after 4 rib breakage? How about you, Hax? What about some jerk that destroyed your ribs and your
it crossed my mind.
Can he be forgiven?
Crossed my
Have
mind.
you forgiven me? I apologize. I felt bad about it.
No, you didn't.
I did.
No, you didn't.
I really did. I didn't.
Lucas, did he
You want my real honesty? Like, full-on honesty. I was like, he's kind of being a baby. Until you had to until you exited the Kentucky game. I'm like, oh, this must be really real. Then you went and got the x-rays, and it's like, oh. I was like, I probably just bruised him a little. And then I was like, oh, he's not being a baby. I felt really bad.
Only broken bones I've ever had.
Really? I know you've told me that. It's still just crazy. Because I've had
Chois Woodman.
Quite a few.
No wonder you get so many co-hosts killed.
I don't kill them. I just run them off. You'd think you'd take a hint after breaking 4 of your ribs, you know.
I know. Here I come back for more punishment.
No, we're teammates now. Teammates. Taking out other people. Sneed needs some broken ribs. Just kidding. Wouldn't do it intentionally. 49ers will make the playoffs, and the Cowboys will miss the playoffs this year. Write it down. Take a picture. Call your mama. This is the one. All right. I don't think that's going to be the case. Like, 49ers will make the playoffs. I do think that's going to happen. By the Cowboys, despite my overreaction Monday, I do think they're going to make the playoffs.
I think the 49ers...
You're really in on that.
Have a huge chance. If you look at it, you know, every now and then we get these years where, okay, well, there's a couple ways you can do this. You can do it with a guy like Mahomes, who's this end-all, be-all, everything talent, kind of a god when it comes to quarterbacking. And then you see years like Trent Dilfer, where the quarterback really doesn't matter. Remember, Peyton Manning won a Super Bowl, and I don't think he could have aired it out more than 20 yards.
It was
just hardly any arm there. But what did those teams have? Unbelievable defenses on the other side. And I'm not saying that this Giants defense is as good as those defenses that won Super Bowls with, at that point, average quarterbacks, but I see a little bit of that. You add in McCaffrey, you have Deebo Samuel, who can be a running back or a tremendous wideout. You have, again, bus driver Garoppolo. Probably not gonna turn it over, probably not gonna win it on a 60-yard post route, but can do just enough. And then a mean defense to go with it. I like them.
I think, Hax, what's interesting about that is, yes, there are defenses that have won Super Bowls for teams, but most of the time it's still quarterbacks, right? Like, look at the history since 2000. Since 2000. 2000, the Ravens won. That was a defense winning the Super Bowl. But most years, it's guys like Tom Brady. I say that 2002 was the Buccaneers with Brad Johnson. So that was another defense winning a Super Bowl. But Tom Brady winning over and over. You got the Colts winning it with Peyton Manning. You got Drew Brees winning one. I just look at the list, and it's the exception when a defense wins it.
Yeah,
for the most part. What do you consider last year? Is it a good quarterback winning Matt Stafford, or is that? I mean, they did have a really good defense.
Yeah,
it was actually
it's a little bit of both.
Probably the most complete team type of thing that we've seen in a long time.
Well, they're a lot different this year, aren't they?
Quite a bit. They are not good
Remember
at all.
when Jerry's like, "We just beat the world champions." It's like, dude,
that's
it's a
not
different
the flex
team.
you think it is this year.
It's a different team.
Yeah, much different. All right, let's go ahead and look at today's calendar. First off, happy birthday to former Red Raider basketball player, 37, Martin Zeno. Old lefty specialist. He was Terrence Shannon before Terrence Shannon was here. He has a lot of left hand. Something is supposed to happen today that is a milestone for this planet Earth. The world's population
8 billion
will hit 8 billion today.
And just think 1.3 of those live in China.
Is that not crazy that there's that many? And then I think it's 1.1 in India, right? Like those two countries right there in Asia have a huge chunk of it. On pace now for $9 billion by the year 2037. I remember like when I was a kid, it was like 6.6 billion. I mean, it's fast. It's fast. So we are supposed to hit 8 billion people today. The growth of the world is almost disturbing how fast it goes, population-wise. In 1927, we hit 2 billion. So we have, in basically 1 century, we have quadrupled the population. Hold on. Did I do that right? 2, 10, 4, 7. Okay, yes. Math is hard for me, so I had to think. Other holidays, or actual holidays today, on this November the 15th, it's Clean Out Your Refrigerator Day. Need that? It's not
terrible, but it needs to be done.
We're about a once a month family, or I think we are until I get back there, and it's like, what is this growing on this? It's like, whoa.
Yuck.
That is a different color. Yeah, we're not the greatest at that. America Recycles Day, American Enterprise Day, National Raisin Bran Cereal Day. I think I had that yesterday, not today. You like the Raisin Bran?
I do.
Is that like an age thing where you just get to a certain age and start liking Raisin Bran? Because it doesn't seem like kids like it a whole lot.
Yeah, I would say probably, yeah.
It's one of those grown-up cereals. It's Pack Your Mom's Lunch Day. Didn't do that. National Bunt Day.
B-U-N-D-T?
Yep. You like the bunt cake?
Yeah.
Little Red Wagon Day.
Gotta love a little red wagon.
Mm-hmm. Do you have one growing up?
Yeah.
Like an actual metal one?
May have had one a little later on in childhood because you would use it to move dirt around and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Let's see.
Did you ever do little landscaping projects when you were a kid? Like around the house?
Yeah. We did. We had a pretty big backyard. So we spent a lot of time
I made a little
outside.
retainer wall with some bricks and
wow.
Dug the little trench and just trying to do our best to keep the house from washing down the hill into the creek.
A full-on project.
Oh, my gosh. Erosion. That red clay.
Save the best for last. It is Steve Irwin Day. That's that guy. This is, let's see. Seeing if this is the day he died or what. Doesn't say. But Steve Irwin Day. He is, I've said this before, but the celebrity death, he and Robin Williams were the two that hit me the hardest of any celebrity deaths.
Chris Cornell.
I could see that for you. Rappers' birthdays, B.O.B., E40. E40's part of which band? Which group? Someone help me. Hax's favorite, Carl Anthony Towns. Lucas's favorite, Chad Kroeger. Nickelback frontman.
Look at this photograph.
He's 48 today.
48, huh?
48. Every time it makes me laugh.
Steve Irwin died in September.
So I don't know why it's Steve Irwin Day. It just is. All right. Bring those thoughts, comments, questions in on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. About 20 minutes away from our Tiers of 12. Coming up next, we're going to get some of Hax's reaction to what we saw last night. Davion Harmon, turnovers, the whole kit and caboodle, and lots of your reaction rolling in for Texas Tech basketball as well. It's the end of the bench on 100.7 The Score.
Playing time is not required. This is the End of the Bench podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Appreciate you hanging with us on a Tuesday. You're listening to the End of the Bench on 100.7 The Score and 107thescore.com. Got quite quite a bit of reaction rolling in regarding Texas Tech basketball. You can get your tiers of 12 in if you want to break down the Big 12 in tiers for 15 minutes.
This may be the most difference we've had in the tiers of 12. It's a little harder to do right now because you've got so many. Well, this team beat this team, and this being and the Big 12 being crazy.
It is nuts. Right?
I think we might have some.
Okay.
I'm already. I got 4 tiers, so that's.
I had like 5 tiers initially, and then I condensed it into 3. I'm like, forget this.
And like I've got one team pretty high that I don't think's any good.
Okay.
So I don't know.
Yeah, it's impossible to judge right now. We've never had a Big 12 conference quite like this, where the Big 12 this year, Hacks, we're sitting here and told the Big 12's not any good this year. Big 12 is what the NFL is, right? The Big 12 is what we get every week in the NFL.
I think that's a solid comparison.
Any team can beat anybody. Now, you've got teams that are obviously lesser than others.
Close games usually.
But any team can truly beat anybody in this league. And we've seen it this year. Except for TCU, I guess. I mean, we're there. They felt beatable all year. They flirted with losses all year.
West Virginia lost by 30-something to Texas Tech and just beat Oklahoma.
Yeah. I mean, they beat
Texas
Baylor.
is favored every week and rarely wins.
It truly is.
Kansas State has played 2 quarterbacks, and you thought neither of them were any good. They're probably the second best team in the league right now, probably going to play for a Big 12 championship.
In the college football world, we're told the Big 12 isn't good this year. In the NFL, it's the best product there is. It's just the difference in the two. It's where there's parity, true parity in the Big 12 this year, so it's not any good because you have to have an elite team, elite. But then in the NFL, if there's parity, it's a wonderful product to watch. So that's where we sit, but it's impossible to figure out. That's what makes the big NFL so hard to bet. It's impossible to figure out.
I did that
who's
again
gonna be there.
over the weekend. I just said to Perry, and I was like, man, I'm just thrilled that I don't really bet at all.
Yeah, it could really it could hurt you.
Because the NFL, it's tough.
It's tough. It really is. I
think you can pick off a bet on the college every now and then, but these spreads are rarely over a touchdown.
Yep.
And then when they do get over that, you start to get scared. Well, what did the Chiefs Jags go off at? 9.5?
9.5 is what we took it at. I don't know what it finished. It finished at 10, but we picked it at 9.5 and finished at 10. Yeah. Well, last night's a perfect example. I mean, the Commanders beating the Eagles. It's like,
nobody saw that.
That's not supposed to happen. The Eagles are the best team supposedly in football right now, and that's not supposed to happen, but it does happen. And you want to compare like every other league. Yeah, you've got the top heavy teams with Ohio State probably being favored by 28 points every week, 21 points, 28 points. But in the Big 12, it's just like the NFL. The biggest lines we've seen this year are right around 10. That's the biggest lines in this league. So it's been a good product to watch. I don't know that I've ever had more fun watching the Big 12 than this year, where it's
the numbers
just don't know what's going to happen.
The numbers pan out to that too, Chois, as far as people watching.
You're right. They are.
People streaming. It's been a good year for the conference in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Did you see the business committee that Yormark appointed yesterday? It's got Womble on it.
I had missed that news. No.
Garth Brooks on it.
Really?
Yeah.
So you got all the rich people of rich alumni from school. That's cool.
Yeah. Pluck a rich guy.
Why not?
They clearly know what they're doing when it comes to business and money. So
gracious.
Yeah.
Well, Yormark has been everything this conference
forward thinking.
Needed. He's been what you've needed. All right, so we'll get to those tiers of 12 in a little bit. A few more reactions from the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Dustin chimed in, said, my gut initial reaction, we are young, inexperienced, turn the ball over a lot, small, but there is a lot of upside. Hopefully Maui gives us good experience.
The thing that I'm excited about Maui is I know that defense is going to travel, and it's a small gym. You have a chance to heat that thing up and get some transition going. We haven't really seen this team cut it loose at all when it comes to transition to what I think it can be as far as pushing the basketball. Now, we saw a little bit of it when it got kind of crazy. And what did you get? You got some throw it to the other team, and you got some run-out dunks and some fun basketball. So I think that defense, no matter if you're playing in front of nearly a full house in Lubbock or the little tiny place in Maui, is going to travel.
Now,
so you got a chance to really clamp down on some teams. That's what I'm excited about.
That Maui place can be hard for shooting teams to shoot, right?
It's just an old high school.
Just because it's
gym,
just a different looking gym. It's different
like
backdrop.
The
than
wall
is
the backdrop behind the basket type deal.
So you're not as used to that in college basketball. Typically. Let's see. This one from the Yates Flooring Center chat line, someone said, we're down one of our best players, if not two. Well, not two, but maybe he's saying one of the best two players when I was saying if Tech was down their best two players against Northwestern State, they should still win the game. I was going back to the TCU thought. Someone said passing the ball was terrible last night. Most of the turnovers were from bad passes.
Well, I was a little perplexed with O'Banner when you're trying to ice the game, and he was like, here.
Zips it in the lane right to the other team.
Right to the little guy that's a sniper shooter. Yeah, I was like, KO, man. Those
Not
two
even
were,
the Navy from Oral Roberts, if you got confused there.
It's like, KO, those two were bad.
Well, yes, and those are the people you don't want to do that. I mean, you kind of, if it's Pop Isaacs, if it's the freshman, you're just kind of like, okay, freshman, we got to work through this. But you don't want your veterans to be doing that. Bacho's made a few bad passes. The team is just not taking care of the basketball well. And that's something that can improve. That's the good news about turnovers. Like shooting, if you're a bad shooting team, you usually don't get better throughout the season. If you're a team that doesn't take care of the ball very well early on, you hope it's due to youth and chemistry. So
chemistry more than anything.
Yeah, I mean, this team has not played together but 3 games. I mean, literally, you have so many of these guys who are brand new to each other. And they've been doing it in the summer, but I think the freshmen, some of it is catching up to the speed of the college game. There's some of that where it's like, hey, I could get away with that against a lazy AAU team, that pass. But it's adjusting to that. I mean, think about Pop Isaacs in particular. Plays a ton of AAU ball. There's very little defense that's played in AAU. If you can zip passes one-handed across the court all the time, make it look good on a highlight reel, but it's stuff you definitely can't get away with most nights, especially when you play a good defensive team like you did in Louisiana Tech last night. So the hope, and our buddy Chris Lowe will tell us hope's not a strategy, but the hope is that you're going to clean that area up. But the turnovers are the part that make you cringe the most right now.
The Lahaina Civic Center seats 2,400 people.
That's crazy, isn't it? Go from being used to 8 to 15,000 seat arenas.
Only 15 rows separate the nosebleeds from the floor.
That's kind of cool. If you do get to go, that's a cool atmosphere, I'm sure. Very intimate.
I've watched it on TV for years. Can't wait.
I know. We've watched it for so long. So this is the first year, right, that Maui is back in Maui since COVID?
Yeah.
They played in, Virginia last year or something?
I think
North
it was
Carolina?
Virginia.
It was either Virginia or North Carolina, one of those East Coast states. But
Past fields. Let's see.
good to have Maui back in Maui. Makes a lot more sense there.
Las Vegas in 2021. Asheville, North Carolina in 2020.
2020, okay. So Vegas. So they've been slowly making their way back west. Big Hugh asked, Hax, when do you leave for Maui?
Friday.
Looking forward to it.
Friday, 9 a.m.
We'll give Hax a call on one of these shows and get your breakdown. Getting ready for those games. But Red Raiders and Jays of Creighton coming up to open things up on Monday. Plenty more of your thoughts and reaction on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Get some of that. Tiers of 12 coming your way as well. It's the end of the bench. Hanging with you till noon on 100.7 The Score.
Definitely not the starters. You're on the End of the Bench podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Thanks so much for hanging with us on a Tuesday. It's the End of the Bench on 100.7 The Score and 107thescore.com. We've had fun with you. Hopefully it's been fun for you. We got 30 more minutes, 15 away from Ask the Benchwarmers. You got any questions? Luau, Maui questions for Hacks, you can get those in. Football questions, basketball concerns, you can get those in as well. All of it welcome. Ask the Benchwarmers, 15 minutes away. Someone else sent another Luau name. I caught that one. We're not going to read that one, but it's on the chat line if you want to go check it out for your own eyes.
Mount Wanahakalugi.
It's close to that. Oh, you guys are fun. Just fun. Before I get to the tech football question, real quick, some odds in the divisions, I should say, and latest Super Bowl odds. Super Bowl odds have changed as of last night. The Eagles were the top team, the favorite to win the Super Bowl. No longer. Any guess at who's number one right now?
The number one favorite?
Yeah, the favorite to win the Super Bowl. Win it all.
No. Chiefs?
I would have guessed that.
Buffalo?
It's still the Bills.
Bills?
The Bills have stumbled the last 2 weeks. Who'd they beat?
Almost said Buffaloes.
The Buffaloes?
Buffaloes?
They go beat the Chiefs, and then they've fallen to the Vikings and the Jets the last 2 weeks.
They're still there.
They're still number one at 4-1 odds. No one a heavy favorite right now. Chiefs are right behind at 5-1 odds. Eagles have dropped to 5 plus 525, so 5.25 to 1 odds. Then it's 49ers at 7.5 to 1. The Cowboys were in 5th on this list last week. No longer. Vikings have moved to 5th, 11 to 1. Ravens 12 to 1.
It's time we start taking the Vikings seriously.
I think so.
Kind of like the TCU basketball.
And then the Cowboys are now 7th on this list at 14 to 1 odds. Dolphins, Bucks 18 to 1. Bengals 33 to 1. Chargers 440 and Titans 40 to 1 odds. And if you want to light your money on fire, the Texans dead last at
not even Mattress Mac.
2,000 to 1 odds.
He could start a bonfire.
2,000 to 1 odds. The Bears are 1,000 to 1 odds. Right there next. Okay, so Texas Tech football. We saw some good. There's no doubt. You saw the offense get rolling. This is good news. You're going to go up against the best defense in the league, statistically. In Iowa State. This is the team that gives up the least amount of points in the league. And, yeah, they've had some teams score a little bit on them, but generally speaking, they have been tough to score on. And almost every single one of their games, fairly low scoring. But my wondering is, you gave up, it's an official industry term, a butt ton of yards to Kansas on Saturday. Over 500 yards of offense, about over 250 yards on the ground. Where's the concern level with your defense after seeing that performance?
It's up there because I think you're going to be in a frozen tundra situation where it's going to be played in the mud. Now, I don't think there'll be any mud there, but you're going to be actual
mud, but yeah.
Yeah, you're going to be on some grass surface. It's going to be really cold, pure misery, and it is going to be something where you absolutely have to watch the push from your offensive line, the push from their offensive line, because I think they're going to try and ground you into a pulp Midwestern style. So you're going to have to be ready to fight on that front, and not having Tyree Wilson sets off all kinds of alarm bells.
Iowa State has the number one. Well, here's what they rank first in Big 12. Time of possession, total defense, 280 yards per game is all they give up. 280.
They won one conference game.
Rushing defense, 105 per game. Passing defense, 175 per game. All of this,
crazy.
They're first in the league. And then And so scoring defense as well, 16.7 points per game allowed. Can Texas Tech win a game low scoring? Because right now, we went over this on Optimum Game Day Live. You have had to score at least 30 points in every win this year.
Yeah.
33 points, I think, is the minimum you've scored in a win. So can you win in a low-scoring game? Because I think you're going to get that kind of slugfest on Saturday.
I don't know.
Wonder what the over-under
The
is.
thing about Iowa State is those defensive numbers are great and all, but they can't score themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Deckers has not been the quarterback that they thought he was going to be. He's just okay. Brock, just okay at running back.
Mm-hmm.
And then is it Whittington? Is that the wideout?
Wigington, right? No.
He's good. But after that,
I get it.
They don't have much.
The wideout. No, Wigington's Texas. Hutchinson. Xavier Hutchinson. Which he's arguably after Johnston, he's arguably the next best receiver in the league. He's got 1,000 yards already this year. That's basically all their offense. It's Brock and Deckers throws to Hutchinson. And that's it. They have very little production outside of that. So as you highlight, Hax, they're first in all those categories in offense, dead last in the league in scoring offense, in total offense, and in rushing offense. Dead last in all of those categories. They
scored 14 last week, but one of those was from a block punt that they started on the 5-yard line-ish.
So where I'm curious for this particular
What's the over-under on this game?
I was just looking at that.
32?
48. When's the last time Tech played in a game where the over-under was not above
way
50?
Under that.
I would go under. Yeah, I think you're looking at a 17-13.
You are
21-17 type of game. Yeah, if someone gets to 20 points, that's probably a winning score. Probably. You never know, because block punts or things can happen and boost it a little bit. But where I'm curious is how much does Joey McGuire veer away from?
I thought you were going to say run the veer.
No, or you could run the veer this week.
I mean, he did have Colin Klein quarterback run installed.
How much do you venture away from the aggressiveness on fourth down? Because the one thing, the analytics factor in who you're playing. They factor in underdog. They factor in all sorts of things. Road environment. They do not factor in weather. That's the one thing that's not factored in on analytics.
Or the fact that if you give it to them in a short field, that might be the only way they can score.
Exactly. So this is where I'm wondering, do they rely on defense a little bit more, rely on, hey, we got a great punter, should be able to kick it a long ways and make them have long fields. Do you see that a little bit more this year? Because it's two different things. The aggressiveness on fourth down is two different things. It's the lack of reliance on defense, or you can look at it that way. I don't think that's how they view it, but it's more so being aggressive offensively and taking your own chances and giving yourself more chances there. So you might have to see them get more aggressive if they're not moving the ball.
You might go the other way because you talked about them and their time of possession.
Yeah. So if you're not getting chances,
they love to go and cloud a dust ball and just say, hey, we're just going to keep this thing and we're going to go on a 6, 7, 8 minute drive. So if you don't want that to happen, you might turn up your aggressiveness a little bit.
As good as Iowa State's defense is, Hax, they're dead last in the league in sacks per game. They only average 1.5 sacks per game.
You know what that spells? That spells CLOUD.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. The way
3 front, and then you get back. I mean, they're going to have that 3-man front every time.
What they do well is they tackle well. That's what they bank on.
Get guys to the ground.
They get guys to the ground. They bank on getting you to the ground. The biggest thing for Texas Tech, the X factor in this game, we got all week to break it down, but can you run the football? It won you the game last week, or helped you win the game last week. If you can run the football against the cloud cover defense, it messes the whole cloud cover defense up. And the last couple of weeks, you've run pretty well. But it's harder to do against this defense.
Iowa State Athletics just now posting to Twitter, grab your coats. It's going to be cold on Saturday. Look at that.
A ton of snow already. I knew it was supposed to snow this week up there.
There's probably 6 to 7 inches of snow sitting on this padded seat. It just looks like the North Pole.
I don't think we're supposed to get a precip, but
there's a snowman built outside the stadium.
Melt by then?
I hope so.
It's the end of the bench. We'll wrap it up with Ask the Benchwarmers. Get your questions in now. Coming up next on 100.7 The Score.
Bringing you the truth, or something like the truth. This is the Bottom Line Podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Glad to be part of your Tuesday. It's been a fun one today. Keep hitting us up. Your questions welcome on the Yates Flooring Center chat line through the 100.7 Score mobile app, as it is time for Ask the Benchwarmers. Handful of questions in. Still plenty of room for you. Get to some of those coming up in a moment. T-Money asked earlier, I forgot to get through this one. Hax, would it not be feasible for when OU and UT are out for the Big 12 to play one non-con and then 11 conference games? Would that be too detrimental to the teams?
It's not feasible, and not something that they will do.
Because of why? I guess. Is it because of beating your team up? Is it because you like the non-conference matchups that can happen?
Well, as much as people hammer away at bad non-conference games, there's a reason they exist.
Yes.
And it's to not have to break yourself to get a win on a Saturday and keep your team somewhat healthy early on in the season. And you feed off each other in this world that is college football and college basketball, because if you start cutting off these little guys, then they have extreme difficulty in getting their budgets filled. I mean, when they go and take a beating in football, that pays for months of these smaller places' budgets. So it has a place, just like Texas Southern going and getting a check to beat TCU and that sort of thing in basketball. It just all feeds off one another. And the biggest thing is you don't want to have to play a rough and tumble conference schedule basically from the start. That's why these are important.
I don't think it's doable. I don't even think you could add one more conference game. So, next year, you're going to play 9 games, which, again, we should be getting the schedule any day now. Any day now. You're going to play 9 conference games. That means 4 teams you're not going to play in the league. As much as I've wanted you to go back to 12 teams in the Big 12 for the name purpose as much as anything, I have liked being able to play everybody. I've kind of liked that part of it. Now, are there leagues or years where I wish we wouldn't play certain teams? Be like, yeah, it'd be kind of a nice year to miss them. Sure. And we'll get to that eventually. There will be next year. You're not going to play 4 teams, so I guess the following year you won't play, 2 years in the future you won't play 2 teams.
Correct.
Because you're going to keep 9 conference games. So I don't know.
The way the old South-North was. There's
no perfect system, except you had 8 conference games then. You wouldn't play 3 teams a year at that point, but now it'll be 9. Butt ton. Do you mean butt load? No, I meant butt ton. It's a real word. Tech Hoops guy says Brock, the Iowa State running back's out for the year. You seen that report?
No.
I hadn't seen that either. That's a blow for them, if that is the case. But, again, they are dead last in the league when it comes to rushing yards per game. So it's not like it's losing Bijan Robinson or something, if that's the case. This going to the other side. Which running back can best exploit Iowa State?
It's such a team effort right now that I have trouble separating those guys between SaRodorick, Brooks, and now Cameron Valdez.
Is there one that runs a certain way that you think would help against a defense like that?
Who's got the most juice right now?
In terms of, I don't know that there's an answer. I think Valdez runs differently from the other two, but if you're talking about breaking tackles, that's probably, I don't know. SaRodorick's great with the stiff arm at the moment.
It's a tie.
Taj is hopping over people.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's someone that's. It's really a hot hand type of thing. Every game, you go with the hot hand. So I don't know. Maybe it's whoever's breaking tackles the best. Because that's how you beat a defense like this. Make them miss. So maybe if SaRodorick can throw a few stiff arms, throw someone down like he did, man, that was a vicious move. Did you think initially when you saw it, was it clear that he got his face mask pulled on TV? Because when I saw it in person, I'm like, oh no, they're throwing a flag on him for throwing someone down?
Well, and he hit his face mask too.
Yes, he did. But I don't think he ever grasped.
And
it seemed like an open hand.
The not so good TV people were like, you can't throw a flag because he violently smashed him to the ground. And yeah, I was worried initially, but they didn't take much time to say face mask on the defense.
Yeah,
I think at the most you could have got offsetting face mask on face mask.
Yeah, but I don't think SaRodorick ever grasped. I didn't watch it.
My son said, "What does grasp mean?"
Did he really?
It's like, really?
Pride of Upland Heights, man. Hey,
Megan,
she loves him.
Megan gave him a rock. With a word on it that describes him.
Okay,
which I thought was really
I didn't
cool.
see what his word was.
Honest.
That's good. That's good.
Good job, PB.
That could be a good thing.
Yeah.
Almost always a good thing. It could also be like, man, you're too honest.
So remember, this got like so much run in the summer. Like, I
know.
I think they love each other.
I know. She's all telling me how good of a student he is. I'm like,
good,
that's not
good.
What we're supposed to hear. We need the bad stories. Just kidding. No, it's much better that he's good. Hax, who will keep your cold turkey safe when you're away?
I bet Mr. Gobbles will not get the attention that he needs. And
I hope he doesn't blow away.
He's not going to blow away. He's staked down to the ground.
Okay.
And there's cameras watching him, people. If you don't
touch him.
Don't do it.
He'll come for you.
My cold turkey, I hope he survives. It's been the toughest November for him with the winds, so he'll be all right. You better be.
Dustin asks, would you rather be a backup quarterback like Chase Daniels?
Yes.
Where he throws 12 passes in his career, or a bullpen catcher?
Oh, definitely backup QB.
I think that, yeah. I don't know what bullpen catchers make. It's not that much.
No.
Well, you make something, but nothing compared to.
Well, that's what we're talking about here is the scale. Chase Daniels made millions of dollars holding a clipboard.
Millions. He's one of the highest paid quarterbacks.
And when he ran out there, he looked awful this last game.
Oh, did he come out in the game again?
He had to come out.
I didn't even see that.
Yeah. Threw 2 passes, and they weren't close.
Daniels is, he's got the job of a lifetime.
It's like, he's still doing this?
It's amazing.
He was a quarterback from Missouri in 2008.
Yeah, it is amazing. This text says, with projected weather in Ames this weekend, ball security will be paramount. Whoever wins the turnover battle will likely win the game. It will be paramount. Start bench cut vacation spots: Hawaii, Alaska, New York.
Well,
this would be first trip to Hawaii.
I would put them in that order.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, Alaska, 100% for me. Alaska's the easy starter.
You're going to go to Alaska in November where the sun comes up for like 3 hours?
I didn't say in November. It just said vacation spots.
Okay, well, I was thinking like now.
Oh. Well, now, then, Hawaii would be the place to go right now. But if I'm going all time, Alaska easily. And I like New York. I really like it as a visiting spot. You don't like
I hate it.
Times Square and
no.
I don't know. I enjoy a lot about New York. No, I don't want to spend a lot of time there, but for a vacation?
No.
Broadway, it's fun. I mean, I'd probably still go Hawaii.
I walk to my Scientology pizza place, get 2 slices, and go back to the hotel.
I'd still go Hawaii over New York, though.
And the reason it's Scientology pizza is it's right by the Scientology place.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if they were actually feeding you Scientology while they feeding you your pizza, too. Oh, goodness. Other people ranking those two, Hawaii, Alaska. Now I'll pass on number 3.
Alaska was so much fun. We did go in November.
I'm curious.
We had a blast up there.
After this trip, I'm curious. I want to hear your answer, see if you like Alaska or Hawaii better.
We skied at Mount Alyeska.
I would love to ski there.
Oh, God. So pretty.
So, Choice, your logic suggests we need to score 30 or more in each win this year. Your logic is flawed. We may have scored 30 plus. It wasn't my logic. I was just saying it as a fact. I was saying you have scored 33 or more in every game that you've won. So that's just what I'm getting at. This weekend, I don't think you have to score 30 points to win a game. 20 might do it. Just maybe.
Not when the over-under's in the 40s.
Yeah. No, that was not my logic. I was just making a point. Hey, that's it for us. Appreciate you joining us today. We'll be back at it tomorrow. It's the End of the Bench on 100.7 The Score.
This has been the End of the Bench podcast from 100.7 The Score. Go to 107thescore.com for more from the Double T Sports Network.